All right, we're recording now. We'll wait a minute for the rest of our friends. Too bad we can do it on Teams, eh? All right. Like we said, what happens afterwards is that the people of Rome, well, number of people of Rome, they riot. And they start killing supporters of Brutus and Cassius left and right. So what does this tell us? What it tells us is that, in effect, for somebody like Shakespeare, when you're talking to uneducated people, which were, in fact, a large number of the people, well, we should distinguish between people who could not read and write and the people who are uneducated. And that's not the same thing. But for Shakespeare, it's far easier to convince people using emotions than it is to use rationality. Brutus tried the rational rhetoric approach. He failed in the face of a Mark Antony who turned his his speech into a dramatic scene. What was for Shakespeare the ensured victory of Brutus was turned into the beginning of his defeat. Well, what does this mean? What it means is that in a situation where your main priority is the creation of obedient consensus, then your greatest strategy is to use emotions. Rationality, when you use reason, the tendency of reason is to turn you into a critical thinker. Critical thinkers are not people who obey easily. People who use their rationality is not somebody you can convince to obey you very, very easily. He's going to be constantly asking questions, in fact, and destroying every illusion that you create in order to maintain your power. Rational people don't make good servants, don't make good subjects. They are, in fact, far too critical for you to easily lead them anywhere. So what do we see? What we see is that during a certain period, let's say 1590s, there was, in fact, the 1600s, there was, in fact, a competition between two schools of art. The first of these schools of art is mannerism. And mannerism survived for quite a long time after the Council of Trent. But after the 1590s, we see an increased understanding of the need for something else. And I'm talking artistically speaking. We're being very vague because we can't enter too much into details. But an understanding of a need for something else. And that need of something else is, in fact, the introduction of dimension to the artwork that had disappeared under the rise of mannerism, of the late Renaissance. What does this tell us? How should we understand this? Again, that art is something that is inscribed within conditions of usage. Art is something that you use in a certain way. One of the best ways of understanding art is as a tool. Just like a fork is a tool, just like the phone is a tool, an artwork can be understood as a tool. And an understanding of artwork as a tool, amazingly, is an amazingly efficient way of understanding it. Well, what does this mean? Well, when the conditions of change, of the conditions of use, quand les conditions d'usage changent, when the conditions of usage change, what changes is the instrument, the artwork. We saw that with the Greeks. On a vu ça avec les Grecs. Comment les changements de conditions d'usage ont mené vers le naturalisme grec. How the conditions of change led to Greek naturalism. How the conditions of the changing conditions with the Romans led to the particular form of realism in Roman sculpture. Comment ils ont mené vers les conditions de réalisme dans l'art, how the conditions of change led with the fall of the Roman Empire and the rise of Christianity led to the icon. بنشوفها دايما هذه. دايما بنشوفها. ليه؟ لأنه an artwork can be understood as a tool within a particular condition, within particular conditions. When these conditions change, the artwork changes. And this is in fact understood by these very intelligent people. People of the 16th and the 17th century, especially the elite, they lived in a world of extraordinary mutual competition. بيناتهم في mutual competition, and losing that mutual competition can lead to you losing your life, lead to you losing everything. So these very intelligent people, and you had to be intelligent to survive, and these very intelligent people understood something that the people of the Renaissance perhaps understood less, that arts should, in fact, address itself to the population. Why did the people of the Renaissance understand it less? Well, it's not that they're idiots. It's that they hadn't faced populist risings as they did with the arrival of ما كانوا شايفين شيء مثله قبل, with the arrival of Protestantism. ما كانوا شايفين هالنوع الثورات قبل. They've never seen something like that. With the arrival of the population of the Protestantism, the Catholic Church understood that if we don't address the larger part of the population, not just the educated elites, but the larger part of the population, we are in trouble. فهموها. What does this mean? What it means is that there is, in fact, within the Baroque, it's not the overwhelming Baroque, but within the Baroque, there is a populist tendency. Populism, popular, not in the sense of something lacking sophistication. It's a new phenomenon. Popular art, in fact, in the 16th and the 17th century, some of the most sophisticated artworks that we have ever seen. Just to give you an idea, Shakespeare was a popular artist. فن شعبي, pop art. Bach, Jean-Sébastien Bach. This was popular art. كيف نحن بنسمع بوس الواوا during the Baroque period, during the Baroque era in Germany, they would listen to something like the art of the fugue. بفرق شوي صغير. But both of them were popular. So there is no link between populist or popular artworks, art made for, and lack of sophistication. On the contrary, what we will see is an explosion of mathematical complexity in architectural Baroque, in things such as the quadrature. I should show you. I will show you. Amazing achievements in terms of perspective, and in terms of music, and in terms of painting. An increase in complexity, not a, بس هيدا increase in complexity. Objective تبعها is to, in a sense, I would say, overwhelm the sensation, the feelings. Empirically overwhelm you and emotionally overwhelm you. So, how does this emphasis on emotions do that? What I want you to do for the next 10 minutes, consider this as a kind of exercise for the exam, is that I want you to compare these two artworks. The first is by Agnolo Bronzino, not his, anyway. The second is by Rubens, okay? And I'm going to give you 10 minutes, and please use pen and paper, okay? So I'm going to give you 10 minutes, and after these 10 minutes, we're going to open discussion about it, about the comparison between these two artworks, all right? Do you have a pen and paper, all of you? في حدا ما معه؟ I should force you to place the videos, but anyway, I'm not gonna do that. All right.
No, we have.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the two artworks. I'm going to. Can you see them? Are they clear? I'll cover the screen. I don't know if that enlarging the screen has any effect, but I'll try. All right. These are.
Professor?
Yes.
I'd have to excuse myself. I'm sorry. I'm heading south with my mom. I'm really sorry. I have to get out of the class.
No problem.
Just for the attendance. It's Abd Khalifa speaking.
Let me do something, Abd, before you leave. And here we are. Okay, done. Okay.
Thanks. Sorry for the inconvenience. Sorry. Bye.
Should we compare in terms of content or
Well,
technical?
content, it's the same. Well, more or less the same. This is one is, the deposition. One is the descent from the cross. It's part of the same story. هون عم بينزلوه من الصليب، هون نزلوه لقطينه. So the content is more or less the same.
Okay, so more about the technical details and
the composition, and
Yeah.
the technical detail, and the psychology.
okay.
We have till 1:35. All right. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Hannah, would you like to start?
Yes, sure.
Go ahead.
Uh,
I'm gonna take notes. Go ahead.
okay, so for example, the lighting,
Hmm.
the difference, like the focal point in each painting is lit differently. Yani in the second one, the focal point is lit only, whereas in the first one, it's more pale. It's all lit.
Absolutely. So there is no lighting is not used for narrative. That's one. Second, the lighting is uniform in the case of the of Bronzino's painting. Yeah, go on.
There's something else ما بعرف إذا هو إنه the expressions in the first one are relatively neutral.
Yeah.
But in the second one, it's more intense and there's more panic or هيك, they're more involved.
Absolutely. Yes, you're absolutely right. What else? Rami,
Yes.
what did you say?
Okay, in terms of technical details in the first pictures, obviously it goes for the Rococo era, looking at the colors, the details, and the amount of decorations that exist in the wardrobes.
Yeah.
Still in the first one, the composition is a triangular composition. All characters are lit and well presented. In the psychology side, there's lack of emotions. We don't see the tragedy behind the scene. And in a way, it leads us, has said, to resurrection, as if, we don't see wounds in the Christ. We don't see as if he's sleeping. كأنه في resurrection in a way. It's more theatrical and with a metaphysical twist. With the angels, بنحسها إنه unreal. And when it comes to the second, the contrast in the lighting, it gives us more tragedy and more engagement, أكيد. The composition is inclined, and okay, the lighting helps the narrative أكتر إنه تفرج the tragedy of the scene. And كنت بعدني عم بكتب إنه they are much more evolved and engaged بالaction. That's it.
Very good. Maria, Agapi Maria. Maria.
حسيت إنه بالأول وحدة غير إنه الألوان بال وهيك في الموفمون تبعهم كمان كتير ما في حركة وبتحس إنه في أكتر ركزوا على الإليغانس تبعه يعني ما في مثل تاني وحدة كان في بينوا الموفمون كان في أكتر كمان كونتراست بالألوان.
مين next ضحية؟ ألكسندر؟ I know ألكسندر.
وي حسيت the first one انه كثير بوزي واوزي يعني الكومبوزيسيون مثل كانه واقفين وناطين اما الثاني هي ان موفمون وحسيتها انه تياترال كثير بويتيك اما هيديك ريال مثل ما قال رامي وكانوا باول وحده مركز اكثر على الاستاتيك تبع الصوره وانه كل شيء لازم يكون بيرفكت وجالفانايزد اما الثاني ستوري بتحسها ريل اكثر. باول وحده مركزين على الفيميلز على الكوتيل بجماليات الفيميلز بالبوزيشن والسكن كولر والتياب اما الثاني اكثر شيء مركزين على الليبر اللي عملوها المان لما نزلوا لجيزس والفجعه اللي كان فيها امه ومثل ما قالت هناء الفوكال بوينت بتاني واحدة مبينة على شو الستوري يعني بأول واحدة بتلاقيهم هابي وكتير كولرفل أما الثانية هي كتير دارك وريل.
فاتن.
يس دكتور. أنا شفت إنه أول وحدة express calmness يعني، بالتاني express pain، وشفت كمان إنه بالتاني الإيدين تبع جيزس شوي كأن شوي طوال بالنسبة للجسم. ما بعرف إذا وشفت كمان باك جراوند دارك باك جراوند بتاني رسمة. بأول وحدة كانت اكسبرس يعني هيك calmness، ألوان يعني calm. والcolor of skin the first one clear color of skin. the second بتحس express more painful and sadness.
Actually, you already, yes, go ahead.
بأول وحدة في عجقة أكتر. الموضوع هيك عجق، يعني حنحسه رح يطلعوا لبرا بعد شوي الأشخاص. هونيك في موضوع واحد جاي بالنص لحاله، يعني مثل كأنه معمل له كادر إنه أنا هيدا اللي بدي فرجيه بس مش أكتر. هونيك في ملايكة وفي عجقة وفي هيك بيضيع، وإذا عم نطلع بعيونهم نطلع بعيونهم مش عم يطلعوا كلهم بجيزس. هونيك بالتاني عند روبنز كلهم عينهم على جيزو. بأول وحدة عم يطلعوا ببعضهم، في خفقة في عجقة في هيك، والتري مش واضحين كتير. هونيك عند روبنز الخطوط واضحة أكتر، البلي تبع تيابهم واضحين أكتر.
طلعوا بالبروبورشنز تبع جسمه للمسيح بالتو كيسز، هيها مور ريالستيك.
بالسكند there is even nature mort بالسكند، في nature mort بالثانية. يعني هالقد عم بيوصلنا like a real moment.
طلعوا بالتقل تبع وين حاسين انه الجسم تبع المسيح ثقيل اكثر؟
بالثانية
وحده.
يعني هيدي بتطلع باجريه لهيدا، شايفين اجريه لهيدا مثل كانه عم يرقص باليه اخ.
ايه اكزاكتلي. يعني انا بدي احكي عن الاناتومي
يعني فيري لايت يعني بعد ما كان في هيك. يس هنا you wanted to say something؟
يس كنت بدي احكي عن الاناتومي تبع السام، يعني مور ماسكولر وعم يبينوا اكثر الاكسبريشن تبع الموفمنت تبع الجيسس او والحواليه. سو برونزينو سوري، الحواليه كانوا ناس معروفين، يعني فيرجن ماري واكثر من حدا يعني معروف من هن. بالتاني بينتينج ما بعرف، اتليست انا ما عرفت من هن الاشخاص اللي
ما
حواليه.
حتعرفي، بس في بيكون انديكيشنز، انا ما عندي اياهم هلا لانه الصوره كثير صغيره قدامي، بس اكيد في indication of which saint it is. كل when you present a saint تعطي معه، بتحطي معه اوبجي بدلك مين هو.
اوكي
usually مش دائما بس usually.
alright.
اوكي بس let's then نعمل هيك kind of synthesis. اوكي وهيدي السنتيسيس بتقلنا انه الفرق الاساسي بيناتهم انه اوكي هون از فيري elegant. طلعوا لي بس بهيدي الفيجر الاكسبريشن السايكولوجيكال اكسبريشن تبعها كانه اوه ذيرستي، يعني انه كانه ما في شيء، يعني انه هيدي ليك مات. is very cold، ما في شيء in terms of expression. very very contained. الفيجرز بتحسون عم بيلعبوا دور، عم بيمثلوا، ولدرجه اكثر انه عم بيمثلوا انهم عم بيمثلوا، يعني واعيين انهم عم بيمثلوا. الكومبوزيشن هاز نو ناراتيف يونيتي. كيف نعرف انه ما عندها ناراتيف يونيتي؟ يعني كل شخص عم يتطلع بشيء. اوكي الفيجر تبع المسيح بس الفيجر هون عم تطلع لبرا، فيجر هون عم يحكوا مع بعضهم، الفيجر هون عم يحكوا مع بعض. as your friend indicated انه النظرات don't have unity. وهي النظره اللي بتقول لكم، يعني انتم بس تطلعوا بحدا مش عم تطلعوا فيه، عم تطلعوا وين عم يطلع. النظرات بتقول لكم وين بدكم تطلعوا and this is going all over the place. So no narrative. besides the obvious. The figures is مطولين المسيح اللي I don't know how many heads بس أكيد أكثر من شيء 14 which is anatomically impossible. Figure allongé, posture énergique, but these are postures. These are theatrical postures. And they are organized in decorative forms. They are organized not so much to express psychology of what's going on, but to create a visual harmony within the painting, which is the main preoccupation of the artist here. Figures are almost inhuman, and there is this refinement and artifice in opposition to genuine feeling. But this is a self-aware artificiality, an artificiality that wants to be that way. Why? Well, شو الارتفيشال in terms of psychology اللي عم بيمثل، بس هون مش عم بيمثلوا بس عم يعلنوا عن حالهم انه عم بيمثلوا. They're not just acting, they are declaring themselves to be acting. On the other hand, despite, in fact, the smaller proportions of the Christ, there is extraordinary grandeur in this painting. And this is, in fact, a period in Peter Paul Rubens' work when he was imitating an artist that we will see in a few seconds by the name of Caravaggio. So there is, in fact, great strength in the feelings, great naturalism. The color of the Christ, if you look, you compare it to the color of the other body here, it's whiter. Why? Well, this is something that happens when people die. الدم بينزل لتحت. So what happens is that they seem to be paler. They become pale. Naturalism, there is a realism in the representation of the figures when the real effort هون بتحسوا انه في تل, whereas here ما في تل. There is no, you don't feel that there is a weight in the representation of the body. Whereas here you feel something is real weight to it.
Yes,
And,
was this intended by the artist?
Sorry?
Was this intended by the artist?
Of course it was intended.
Why? No.
Why? Why do you think it was intended?
قصدي خصوصا the first one انه بتحسهم شوي elongated و pale انه it feels unnatural, so
yeah.
Why would
my question to you, Hannah, is which one would you think would lead to more religious feelings? أيه بتودي نحو religiosity أكثر؟
I guess the
بكنيسة
first
أنت عم تطلعي باثنين وشفتي مرة ختيارة رايحة تصلي قدام واحدة منهم، أيها حتروح؟ مع أي ميلين؟
The first one.